Welcome back, everybody. It's the daily recap with Mirko and Leo. This time, it's going to be day 2 of the SPS Challenge Finals. And the group stages have been extremely exciting, but we're going to go through all the Stream A games. We had 3 today. Now, I don't know about you guys, but Evos Icon versus RSG-SG. Thoughts on that? Because I had a sneaking suspicion that RSG-SG was going to win, and it didn't come true.
For me, honestly, like after day 1, my mirror curse was correct. Everything was correct, Gideon. Everything was correct. Chat or Gideon Army. I don't know what to call your fans, but yeah, it was literally a mirror bless. So I tried to predict everything right today, and I got everything right today. I actually predicted Evos Icon to win this one, not RSG-SG. I think RSG-SG and MSC, they were very easy to read, right? The first 2 matches were like, okay, the Badang can still come out, the Khalid can still come out, but right after that, even though Diablo has proven that he can play different heroes, it really just feels like, he can do okay with different heroes, but he's never really the Diablo. With the Badang and the Khalid, that's really the 2 power heroes that can really, I think, lead RSG-SG.
I personally felt like this was RSG-SG's meta, right? Like people who have weird picks really benefit with the new emblem systems. What do you think about that, Leo?
I agree, but the roles that have the weird picks in RSG-SG are not the ones who are impactful in the metagame, right? You're talking about Diablo, and I'm giving maybe the X factor this time to Buji, right? Because he's new. But those roles are actually some of the tightest roles in the current metagame, right? And I don't expect Diablo to pick up the Uranus, right? That's not a Diablo hero. He gets heroes that are not his specialty or like not his niche, and he comes from the handsome devil, becomes just handsome. Right? That's what you're getting it, right? He's not the Diablo, he's not the devil, he's just handsome. So as nice as that is, it's just not enough to get you the big dub. So from 2-1, that's just the 1. How did they get to the 2? So I totally agree. I think Evos Icon just had their number, and at least it was a slobber knocker. At least it was really close, but it just really wasn't RSG's day.
They got the first match. They didn't win the next 2, and eventually Evos Icon. We'll give our thoughts about Evos Icon later on because they did play another match later, but we're going to move on to BTR Alpha versus Onic here. Now, this one is rather interesting. I'm going to start off with Leo first because personally for me, after Onic's performance yesterday, I was a little worried, right? Because super long game, very, very late as well. So it's not like you have like time to let's just rest off and recuperate. Let's VOD review and fix our problems. No, they didn't have any time to do that. They just came in today, new mentality.
Yep, you could have sworn they were new men, but it's literally the same dudes who's been dominating Indonesia and eventually the world from MSC. That's them, right? What makes this all the more interesting is the fact that BTR wanted to get a little crazy. They wanted to go loco, right? They opened up with that draft that actually caught my eye while catching up to the rest of the streams earlier this morning and a little bit of last night.
Game 1, game 2?
Game 1. They tried to fake out the jungle Uranus, but eventually still became the Baksha. But yeah, Coach Yeb, Coach Adi, the rest of the guys just weren't having any of it. And my inner and outer Sonic just came through. It's like, I didn't want to make it come out on broadcast. Right? We wanted to be professional, but I was just like, yeah, Onik's back.
Let's go. I was very surprised with that performance, but unlike, Onik fans out there, what are your thoughts on BTR?
Sad bigot trooper.
Sad bigot trooper here.
No, I'm not sad at all. I mean, what are you guys talking about? Match 2?
Match 1.
There was a match 2?
Like match 2 game. Well, I don't even know what you're talking about right now. I casted match 1 and 3, so I don't have any memory of. No, to be serious though. Onik. There's still Onik. I think I spoke to Aldo actually before or after the match, and before as well. When Onik lost to RRQ in MPL ID, he said, "Yo, a losing Onik is a scarier Onik because Onik are the type of team that will actually adjust and correct these mistakes and be motivated after a loss." That's what we saw from their first loss in season 11, right? After that, they were a completely different team, disciplined all throughout, and ending up winning, just having a win streak all the way to win MSC as well. So that one and the loss yesterday as well against Bren with a freshly out of the hospital, freshly just cured Sans as well. It's a big wake-up call to Onic, and unfortunately Bigatron Alpha had to face an Onic that has woken up. But I still think my boys did pretty damn well. I think it wasn't a complete stomp. Bigatron Alpha were able to hold their own up until the later stage of the game, where that just comes to experience. That just comes to, you know, instincts and individual prowess. And I think that's where BTR boys can really improve. If they improve there, I can see Bigatron making it to M5.
I agree with you there. I think like Bigatron, they were making some correct moves, and then like eventually you come to a point in the game where you need to cut your losses. You need to cut your losses for neutral objectives and really start thinking about the way you approach neutrals more in a team fight sense. And I think, you know, Vin had the right idea, but it could be one of those situations where you have to communicate with the rest of your team. I mean, there are like if I'm Vin, I have 4 other components that I don't want to micromanage. I just need to make one call in that split second to make the difference. But we move on and we finally get to talk about this team. Well, I get to finally talk about this team. Udo Red Giants versus Evos Icon. I love the performance of Udo Red Giants yesterday, and even today they were able to win a game, but they lost against Evos Icon. And we got to see, if we got to see the awakened Onik, we got to see the awakened Evos Icon. What was that? You guys just finished casting.
Literally. It was literally fresh off.
Literally fresh off. It's in their memories. What are your thoughts?
I think we can do the bit again. Game 3 or game 2, right? We did a bit. Started off with I challenge you, Leo. I use Douma's domain,
and I bring out Super Ultra Mega Reloaded Deluxe Game of the Year Edition, remastered Red.
I think for the most part it was that.
It looked good. Like Red looked great. Again, they brought back the old funnel, and they gave him resources across the map that usually wouldn't have been possible with a normal lineup, with a normal spread. But it came in a turn via the late game, that bridge between the middle and the late, and then Douma just said it's over.
I think
nothing personal, kid.
Just sweeps the floor, sweeps Udo Red Giants as well. I mean, looking at Douma, I think even from day number 1 from yesterday, I was really impressed I was really impressed by Douma because of the way that he's able to just stay in a losing team at a point. Early to mid, they always kind of lose against their opponents, but he's still able to level, to stay equal with the enemy gold laner when it comes to gold. So his farming is already really good, but his mechanics, he's been making a lot of misplays, I would say, because this is not the Douma, day 1, was not the Douma that I expected after watching him play in MDL, after watching him play in Challenge Season as well. Today, I think this is the real Douma. This is the real Evos Icon, except for Sutsujin. I think we've spoken enough about Douma. I want to talk about Sutsujin because what's happened with Sutsujin? I feel like it's a different Sutsujin that has been playing in challenge finals.
That's the thing. I felt like Sutsujin, like, especially during the challenge season, he was kind of like, you know, in Taz, in the same position as Taz, where sometimes where things get really bad, he's just like, okay, hop onto the backpack. I'm going to get you over the finish line, no problem. It's not the cleanest games, but man, after watching this game, I think a couple of things. Number 1, it's the way, because of the funnel style, it gives a lot more presence for Sutsujin to actually get away with a lot of things. But I think with Douma already, like, dominating not only his lane matchup, but continues to like play really well in those team fights, it just creates a lot of opportunities for someone like Sutsujin, who is playing an assassin, to quote unquote clean up when 80% of the job is done.
Could that not be a reason why you mentioned Taz, right? It's no secret that Sutsujin has been brought up. Maybe because in the past month or so, in the interim between challenge season and challenge finals, maybe he hasn't really been focused. Maybe he hasn't been paying attention. Maybe he's been preparing for the call-up, right? So I'm not sure if that's a factor, but maybe he isn't as focused on this team anymore, and he's looking forward. Maybe there's that part of his brain.
Or it could be one of those things where, because we did see like during like when they showed the player camps that Taz was actually like nearby. He was actually there, you know? It could be like Taz is actually helping Sutsujin out in terms of like the way he thinks about the game and gives like a new perspective.
And it's not clicking as fast.
Possibly. But then there is Douma, and now for the hot take.
Okay.
Douma brands.
Douma. I think Douma for sure. I think after MSC, I had the main reason that Douma isn't an MPL It's facts right here. It's because he's still in high school, and his dad doesn't actually want to, want him to stop or do homeschooling. He wants him to complete high school, and then you can go full time. Then you can try to, be the legend, be a legend for Evos. Because I think individually, it speaks for itself. Brands, I love him. He was ex-BTR. I always support the BTR boys, even if they, move to different teams. So I still love him. I respect him as a player. But I think it's clear to see right now that Douma is better. He's just individually better. I don't know for a team if the synergies collide or anything, but individually, I think it's a fact. So Douma.
Second hot take. Douma now or peak BTR brands?
I'm not so sure that's a fair comparison.
It's not. It really isn't.
BTR brands was in the jungle, right? But I'll say this. If brands played with BTR at MSC 2021, they may have made it to the grand finals, might have even won the whole thing.
I agree. I was a big fan of. If you don't already know, I'm like the number one hater for Bigatron Alpha. Always hate every single one of the players. Anyways, MSC 2021. I agree. I think if it wasn't for the whole controversy, the whole thing that shall not be mentioned, I think Bigatron would have actually won. It was a very systematic BTR team. You take one member out of that, everything falls.
They were so creative. They were ridiculous. I was blessed to have at the time experienced BTR on a competitive scale. It's no secret I was part of the MPL ecosystem back then, right? More hands-on then, and I saw what they were up to. Rainbow was there, the Twins were there, Repo was there, so that was a ridiculous lineup. So yeah, we wouldn't have seen the Kings of C, we would have seen the call-up of Kelra, Chakno and Etomax becoming legends, because I think BTR really would have just... to answer the question, brands BTR back then.
I cannot deny we miss the old brands for sure, but times are changing. We're seeing these younger legends come in and start to take their places and taking their jobs at that point. But yeah, well done to both of you for your cast. Thank you so much for being on the daily recap. And as always, we always have the question of the day here at the daily recap. And the real question is, if penguins have tongues, why don't they kiss?
If penguins have tongues, they don't have tongues. Do they have tongues?
They have tongues.
Okay, they have tongues. I don't know. I guess they're just virgins. I guess they just don't know how. They don't have a guide.
Have you ever been in an igloo? Do you know what penguins do underwater when they hide in these icebergs? Has a camera ever been in one? How do you know they don't kiss?
I don't know about you guys, but I would highly suggest you don't watch a documentary or read journals about penguins in Alaska or the Arctic. We're going to end it here. This is a daily recap with both Mirko and as well as Leo. Thank you so much. We'll see you tomorrow.